Good morning, everyone. Good evening, depending where you are coming from today. I am Mila Diolano. I am the Global Development Coordinator for Invest America, and it's my pleasure to welcome everybody to our webinar today. Today, we will be discussing the E2 Investor Visa, its requirements, the benefits, and unique attributes as a wonderful tool for international investors and business-minded individuals to move with their families to the United States. Today we have with us our dear friend Roberto Ortiz. Please come up, Roberto, and he will cover for us all the immigration details, the paperwork needed, the basic requirements, and how to distinguish if the E2 visa is the right fit for you and for your family. His partner Eli, I believe he's already with us today. Eli Panel will cover the fun stuff, all the business related with all that you need to know when opening a new business in the United States, including some basic rules and key points to be considered by all international investors. We will also cover what does it mean to be a citizen of a country that has an E2 treaty with the United States, and what does it mean to me and my family if my country is not on the treaty list. Marianne Mansouri with Range Developments, please Marianne, come up. We'll be covering that with the Granada Citizenship program as an alternative route to the E2 visa for citizens of non-treaty countries. And for last but not least, our president and CEO, Mike Zenik, he will talk in detail about Invest America's E2 consulting services and examples of our current portfolio of opportunities for new business and franchises. Welcome, everybody. Before we move on to the introductions for each of our panelists and conversations about this amazing topic, I would like to bring on to light a few topics, okay? Please let me know if anybody on the chat, on the bottom of your screen, there's a chat option and a Q&A option. If you have any issues listening or hearing or seeing us, please let us know. And then I would like to tell everybody that we're going to be recording this event, and we're going to be sharing all the presentations that we're going to be presenting today to all the participants. And we are also now live on Facebook, so welcome everybody. Please also know that all the questions that will be submitted in the little chat Q&A option on the bottom, we're going to be monitoring that. And in case we cannot answer all the questions by the end of the webinar, we'll be reaching out to you personally to touch base with you about your questions and how each of us here today can help you. Okay, so let's move on. Now the topic for our discussion is the great interest to foreigners looking for a pathway to invest, live and work in the United States with the E2 visa. For this discussion, we have a great team here and on this journey for the best advice on the options to invest and to the legal and business implications, okay? I would like to start today presenting our president and CEO, Mike Zenik. Mike, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mila. Hi, I'm Mike Zenik, president, CEO, and founder of Invest America. We have been in the immigration for investment industry for about 10 years, mostly focused on the EB-5 investor green card program, working in that program for since 2010. About 2 years ago, we got into the E2 side of the visa world, and essentially Invest America is focused on making sure that the businesses that are acquired by E2 applicants are good businesses. We do a lot of due diligence. We'll talk about a little bit more, but our focus is on the investor. Focus on the investor and their families, making sure that whatever investment they're making is has been properly evaluated. We've worked with over 300 families in the last 10 years, and so far we have 100% approval rate for all of our applicants that we've worked with. My background is originally in public accounting and has been since then in investment banking, specializing in the immigration for investment world for the last 10 years. So thank you for joining us today, and look forward to our great panel.
Thank you, Mike. We have here today with Wermont Ortiz and Panel LLC. Let me see. Yeah, did I say it right? Yeah, Ali. So I would like to present with you today here the partners, Roberto Ortiz, their immigration lawyer, and also Eli Panel with well, all the business and tax implications for international investors. So Roberto, would you like to start shining on some light of your company? What do you do? And present yourself to us, please.
Mila, good morning. Thank you. And thank you for the invite. My name is Roberto Ortiz. I'm an immigration attorney with Wermont Ortiz. I'm the head of the Department of Immigration in the law firm. We're a small boutique law firm that we do immigration, international tax, and also litigation. We also do other stuff like trust as well and probate that Eli will talk more into it. I've been doing immigration for the past 21 years. Most of my immigration work has been in the business side, which is business immigration and investors. I have done a lot of E2s. I've also done a lot of EB5 as well. So I'm very well versed in this topic, and hopefully we'll be able to provide to the public different nuggets of information for them.
Thank you, Roberto. Eli, please shine on.
Hey, how are you? Good morning, Mila. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Eli Panel. I'm the partner, a tax partner here for the firm Wermont Ortiz. And a little bit of my background, I have over 20 years of experience in the industry. First as a certified public accountant for Grant Thornton International, and then for PricewaterhouseCoopers. And for the last 14 years now, as a partner here with the firm, my practice concentrate obviously in tax, with an emphasis on the international tax aspect, meaning foreigners trying to invest in the United States, or U.S. person living or investing abroad as well, what we call the expat. And that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you, Eli. Marianne, good evening to you. Marianne is with
us. Good evening,
Mila. All the way from Dubai. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So Marianne Mansouri, she's with Range Developments, talking to us about the CBI program in the Grenada, how to obtain the Granada Citizenship as that alternative route to the E2 visa. So Marianne, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mila. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for all our attendees for taking the time to be with us today. My name is Mariam Mansouri, and I represent Range Developments as their Business Development Director. We are hotel developers, and we develop hotels in the Caribbean islands where our investors get the opportunity to obtain a second citizenship. And we're very proud to say we're the only developers that have delivered 2 5-star hotels already delivered with our clients in the Caribbean. And now we've moved on to the 3rd one in the island of Grenada.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll be talking about all these great opportunities in a few moments, but I would like to kick off this event with Roberto. Roberto, today we're going to be kicking off our event talking about the E2 visa and what an interesting visa to look for to bring my family here. We'll see now on the screen a little facts about the E2 visa, how it's becoming popular for investors, international investors, looking to move here with their families. Why do you think is that happening right now?
I think the E2 visa is very popular for various reasons. Number one, it's a visa that usually, depending on the country, you will have probably 5 years. So it gives you a long time to come in and take care of your investment. Also, the difference between the E2 and the other visas is that the E2 causes the less fraud because you have to invest first before applying for your visa. So therefore, it's easier to demonstrate the substantial risk that you have done by investing to the U.S. consulate. And so it's easier for the U.S. consulate to determine whether it's a correct investment or not. So also, it's an investment that it's going to bring money to you, and it's also going to create employment, which is beneficial to the economy of the US.
That's very interesting. If you see right here, the popularity of the E2 visa is right behind the tourist visa. So it's a very big number of investors coming to the United States today. And with that, Roberto, before we start, why is that the E2 is not a non-immigration visa?
Well, not all the countries have it. For example, if we look at certain regions, for example, in Europe, there's maybe most of the countries have it except Portugal. In South America, the majority of the countries have it, but for example, Venezuela, Brazil, which are very big countries, especially Brazil, they don't have it as well. So it's a treaty visa, and it's become more popular recently because of the timing. Like I said, it gives you a long time to be here, which is better because, for example, other visas like the L1 visa, which is the intra-company transfer, where you have a manager being transferred, that visa is only given for 1 year. So if you have the probability of doing either one of these visas, you would choose the E2 because of the time. I mean, it's 5 years as opposed to 1. It gives you a longer time to look after your investment and make your investment grow over 5 years rather than 1 year.
And also is a faster application and a faster approval rate, correct?
Yes, well, before the pandemic, the majority of the U.S. consulates were taking around between 70 to 90 days. Also, the difference between the E2 compared to the other visas is one of the only few visas, non-immigrant visas for business, that can be applied directly at the U.S. consulate. So a majority of the U.S. consulates have their own department for E2s, and they have a procedure for each E2. So in majority of the U.S. consulates, you send your package first to them, and then they'll tell you when you have your appointment or if you need extra documentation. So it's very streamlined. For example, Toronto used to take around 70 days. Buenos Aires did as well. And I believe Colombia used to take around 60 to 90 days. So when you go to the interview, they've already reviewed the documents and they'll tell you the same day whether it's approved or not.
That's very interesting. Thank you for that. So before we go ahead with our most frequent and answer questions here, I would like to just tell us a little bit of the highlights of the E2 visa. What do you need to, what are the requirements, what investment needed, who is part of this application, who will be included, who can come with investors to the United States, and a little bit of the key requirements for this visa, please.
Okay, so the E2, you need to be from one of the treaty countries. There is a list of it in the Department of State website that has all the countries. Some countries have E1 and E2 as well, but it has a list of the E2. You have to make an investment. The person from that country has to be 50% owner or more of that company that has the investment. Very important though. If we have two people from the same country, they can be 50-50 because that will be a majority. So we'll have the country of the treaty has the majority, which is important. So for example, if we have two partners that are both from, let's say Spain or Italy, that is fine. However, you cannot have one from Italy, one from Spain, because that will not give you a majority. But as long as you have from the same, for example, if you have two brothers from the same country, that's fine too. So that'll be perfectly okay. And the most important thing with any visa, non-immigrant visa in the US, it has to be an active investment. An active investment means that it has to create employment. So that's very important. It cannot just be real estate, it has to create employment. The law and the regulation states that there's no minimum or maximum investment. In our view, and what I've seen in the past, I would say 3 to 4 years, I think $150,000 and above is a good starting point. Of course, with any type of visa, the more you invest, the better it is. In terms of the countries, most countries, like I said, gives 5 years. There's no limit of extension, so you can extend it every other year. Now, one thing that is super important, because you said who can be in the group, any non-immigrant visa is for the investor, his or her spouse, any children under 21. Okay, in the United States, once you turn 21, you're no longer part of the family. So if we're looking at a group of people that has children over 21, we have to look at other alternatives, whether that child or young person will join you in the investment, or will be an E2 manager. Also, E2 manager is another type of E2 that is also allowed, as long as the E2 manager is from that country. And then we have to determine whether it's going to be in the same investment, or whether we're going to do two different investments, one for the family and one for the young man or young woman that is over 21. As you can see in the slide, the spouses of the E2 get a employment authorization. And this is very tricky and very smart. It's very important to talk about this. The employment authorization is extremely important. We have to sit down with the couple and determine which person has the better curriculum. That person that has the better curriculum or the better resume does not become the investor. Why? Because in the future, that person could get a job out in any good company in the US, and that company can petition them and do a labor certification to become a lawful permanent resident if that's what the person wants to do.
That's a very, very good point. Thank you, Roberto. And what about the kids? Are they going to be able to go to school here, and university here as a resident? How would that work?
Yes, the E2 derivatives can go to school here. They can go to public school if they wish to. Also, I have heard from several of my clients that the public schools will give you residency rates as opposed to foreign student rates.
Perfect. That's very good. And are there any travel restriction for the E2 visas in the moment?
Right now, no. The E2 was not part of the executive orders from the president.
Perfect. Just paving the way for Marianne here, like soon. What does it mean if my country, like Brazil, Venezuela, or another country that is not an E2 3D country, what does it mean for me? What is the other route? What does it mean for me to get another CBI program citizenship?
Well, this is one of the reasons we have her on the panel, because of the Granada Citizenship. Grenada is a country that is in the list of E2s, and if they approve, it will be 5 years. So what you could do is you could become a citizen of Grenada, and you can have double citizenship, and then you can apply as a Grenadian citizenship for the E2, and that will make you eligible for the program.
That's a very, very good route. Okay, so Roberto, thank you so much. That's a really great way to kick off our event right here. And now, with our minds clear on what the E2 is, I want to go just really quickly to this frequently asked questions here. I think we already answered most of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just go and jump to Eli and talk a little bit about the international business considerations when applying for a E2 visa in the United States. First of all, thank you for being here with us. And I would like to start, Eli, to talk to you about the features that you recommend international investors to consider while choosing a business to invest on for an E2 visa or an existing franchise. What are the key features that you recommend for an investor to consider?
Sure, thank you, Mila. I think that the main one, even before you consider the visa, the immigration purposes, you have to like or understand the business that you're getting into, because you're buying something or creating something that you're gonna spend time, or your family is gonna spend time, and you want to do well. So you gotta make sure that you go to an industry or to a business that you feel comfortable, or that you would like to spend your time and your investment, because having a business, is fun, is exciting, is nerve-wracking like any other thing. So that is very important. Once you narrow to this is the industry or this is the business that I would like to invest, then you go to talk to Roberto, talk to ourselves. Say, does this business, or if I'm representing, I'll go to Roberto and ask him, we like to go into this business. Here are the key features of this business right now. Does it work, or does it appear to work for the immigration point of view? Because that will be very important. First, you like the business. Second, does it work for immigration? And then after that, then you go to the process of, you like the industry, you like the business. It worked for immigration. Okay, let's see if the mechanics, the fundamentals of the business are there, and let's see if we can make a deal for it. And that will include doing a business plan and all the due diligence that needs to be done before the closing of the actual business. So I think those are the key at the beginning. But I will definitely start with, do I like the business that I'm going into?
Perfect. On that line, Eli, what is your opinion about having your own business or started with a franchise? Was there any benefits on that, on whichever way you choose?
The main advantage, and you can obviously know more about the main advantage of the franchise, is that you're buying into a proven system, basically, to it. So you will not have to reinvent the wheel. Basically, if you go to the franchise, you actually have to follow protocols, and you should follow the protocols, because the reason that they're able to franchise the business because it's working and they want to escalate and do it nationally. But if you decide to create your own business, which obviously is an option, start from scratch, then you got to go to the same fundamentals. And then I will definitely recommend that you go into an industry that you either know or have someone very close to you who will be able to manage and help you out with running of the business, because then you're starting from scratch. Either one will work, but that's the main difference basically between the two. Both will work.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. Like talking about the business plan, Eli, we know that franchise is like a business in a box, but either way, we'll be talking a little bit with Invest America and with Mike in a little bit about our due diligence and our scope of services. But I would like you to explain a little bit for everybody the importance of the business plan on an E2 language. It's not only writing a business plan, but how important is the business plan for E2 visa approval?
Well, I think it's part of the process, part of the check and something that they look at it. And it is very particular, the business plan, that it will go to a bank for financing or to other investors. It may not necessarily be exactly the same one that I will go to a visa, to an immigration officer. I think Roberto can speak, but I believe that there is a total page count on a visa application. It could be 100, I believe, or something like that, Roberto.
That's correct. It's between 70 and 100 pages.
There you go. That means I've been paying attention to his seminars in the past, apparently. And then obviously the business plan is just a portion, so we got to make sure that we get all the information that the officer needs to make a determination between the 20, 25, 30 page allocation that at the tops we will have. It is very important that we obviously do the projection 1, 3, 5 years, and it is important that it is a viable business. And what it means by a viable business is that you got to show that you have what is called black numbers and not red numbers. That is not in the negative, that is actually showing, hopefully from the beginning, but at least towards the end of the 5 years, and is able to sustain the employees and the investment. And the person is basically a self-sustained business, which is very important. It has to be reflected in the business plan. You compare to the industry, you compare to the margins that you got out there, and you make sure that you get the fundamentals. Even though it is projection, it is based on historical data that has to be plugged into the equation.
That's very interesting because, like the E2 visa, like Roberto explained before, you can always be renewing the visa. It's not like that it terminated as you go home, but it depends on the success of your business, right? So that I think this business plan, this planning, this part of the process, sometimes we can oversee it easily, but we have to always highlight it, how important it is to have a very strong business plan and with a well done due diligence. So thank you so much, Eli, for right now. With that base and the structure, the foundation of our webinar here, really well explained. Thank you both. I would like to jump off to Mike Zenecker, the CEO and president of the Invest America. And as we see right here, the E2 is a wonderful, wonderful route for business-minded individuals who like to move to the United States, right? Owning their own business or even like acquiring a franchise. So Mike, here, I know that Invest America offers an incredible scope of services relating to seeking, evaluating, and acquiring qualified franchises and other business. which would be a gateway for investors looking into the E2 visa and searching for opportunities to do so. So going along with what Eli pointed out, when investing in the United States, please tell us about Invest America, and now that you and us as an Invest America team, what can we do when it comes to the E2 investor visa and how to help the investors to move forward with this route as an immigration route?
Sure, thank you, Mila. So our focus, Invest America's focus, is mainly on the business. Our initial goal is to make sure that there's a good team in place. That includes working with an immigration attorney like Roberto, working with somebody that can do the business plan and help with the business aspects of establishing a business in the United States, like Eli. Obviously, if there's an E2 treaty country that needs to be obtained through citizenship, we work with Mariam, and but essentially making sure, first of all, that the team is strong. The team because ultimately all those things matter. And as Eli said, it's very important to pick the right business, not just to get approved, but to make sure that it's viable and sustainable for as long as you want to be here. So our focus, making sure, again, we've got a good team, is on the business itself. What business are you maybe starting on your own, bringing from another country, looking to acquire, whether it's a franchise or another business acquisition opportunity that will qualify for the E2? Our focus is making sure that the investor is selecting a business that's going to be viable and also going to be sustainable. How we do that is really trying to tailor it to the investor themselves and making sure that they are we're listening to their interests. What types of things do they want to do? What type of things they have experience in? How much money do they have to invest? Because that's a big factor in determining what sort of businesses might be available. Sometimes we get people that want, the spectacular business, but they don't have, their budget isn't big enough for that. So we've got to be very selective, and that's where we sort of shine. We have access to, lots of different industries, lots of different businesses. So once we compile the profile of that investor and what they're looking for, what they can afford, where they want to live, all kinds of factors like that, then we can move forward with helping them find the business, evaluate the business, negotiate the best terms, and also make sure that everything's done properly with their E2 petition. That's our main role. It comes from our history as investment bankers. So as I mentioned before, after I left the public accounting world, I got into the investment banking world, mainly helping private companies raise capital, do mergers and acquisitions. So we kind of, look at it from that perspective using that experience. As you'll see on the slide here, we do have a different scope of services that we offer. And really just it's what the investor needs. Some people have a lot of experience. Some people sort of already know what they want to do, what business they want to bring. Maybe it's, again, their own business. So we have a few options for people. And if they need a business, they want to find a business, the two main options we have are, we have a limited scope option, which essentially takes all that profile, puts it together, finds a variety of options for them, again, either franchises or other businesses. And we just make sure that they have enough choices. They work with their immigration attorney and the business plan writer, and we're just there to kind of make sure everything happens. That's one option. Again, a lot of people don't need a lot of help. We also have a full scope option, which is kind of, again, where our investment banking experience comes in, where not only will we provide all those options and make sure the team is put together and running smoothly to a successful filing, but we'll also do a deep due diligence of all the different businesses that they may be considering. What's the history of the business? Are they, has the business model been successful? If it's a franchise, how many units do they have operating? Have they been operating for a long time? Are they what do their margins look like? We check backgrounds of the management of the franchise. If they're acquiring an existing business, looking at their historical financials, making sure that their staff there, that the staff is going to stay in place. So doing a lot of things that we do as business analysts to make sure that the business is viable. Then sitting on the investor side of the table to negotiate the best terms possible for them, making sure that we're, and that includes, let's say, a franchise, you're buying a franchise. Well, the franchise fee is usually pretty set, but if they're looking for a location for that franchise, they're going to have to lease some space somewhere. And, that's where we can help them evaluate spaces to lease. We can help negotiate the leases. We can, again, sit on their side of the table to make sure they're getting the best terms possible. Again, working with the attorneys for the legal side, we focus on the business side. And then we sort of, make sure, again, that everything's put together and closed. We help them with whatever financing that they're bringing together. We can potentially access some additional financing for them if necessary. So a lot of different things that we can do based on our investment banking experience to get them from, really help them find the best business for them, and then work with the team to make sure the petition is filed in an efficient manner, and also putting forth the best possible package to make sure that they have a very high likelihood of being approved, as well as a high likelihood of being renewed once their renewal comes up every 5 years or so. So, again, we talked a little bit about this with Roberto. Our recommendation is that even though USCIS does not indicate the specific amount of money that's necessary to invest, we basically believe that you have to have at least $150,000 or more. Obviously, as Roberto said, the higher the budget, the more options you're going to have. It's better certainly for USCIS, but it's also better because you're going to have a lot more choices. Right now, we represent a lot of franchises in multiple different industries all across the country. Currently 140 brands, and actually that's just recently grown. We've added on a couple of new networks that give us almost access to 1,000 different brands across the country. We're talking about all different kinds of industries, whether it's food service, healthcare, pet care, health and beauty, fitness, you name it. We have the opportunity to do that. Again, not every franchise will qualify, so it's very important to make sure that you're getting one that's going to fit properly. Personalized options, as I mentioned before, we can help you from the beginning to the end. And one of the things that's very important is the nature of our business. Kind of giving you an idea of what we do, but we're affiliated with a securities broker dealer called Sequence Financial Specialists that I'm also the managing principal of, a great group based out of Charleston, South Carolina, that is a regulated securities firm. So everything we do, number one, we have to do it for the benefit of the investor. We have to make sure that everything's done in compliance with U.S. securities laws. And we also have a duty based on the securities licenses that we have, to make sure that the investor is being treated properly, making sure that not only they're getting a good deal, they're working with reputable people, but the moment they make the investment, they kind of become our client for life. So if there's ever an issue or problem or anything like that, we have the responsibility to help them with that investment, to make sure that things are being done right, not just by us, but by everybody. So we have a lot of responsibility, a lot of liability when it comes to representing investors. This is just a very, very, very small snapshot of some of the brands that we have available. And looking here, it's mostly the fitness space, but a couple of restaurants and some logistics and home service companies. But just to give you a really quick snapshot of some of the brands that we represent.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate all your input. We are going to go now that we know what the E2 visa is, that we know what to look for when choosing my business to apply with, and also the amazing scope of services that Invest America offer you to help you to make that decision. But here is where we go to part of this webinar. What if, like, now I have my budget to invest, I'm willing to move to the United States with my family, live and work in the United States. I have chosen a great lawyer. I have somebody to work with in my business plan. I have Invest America, two
good lawyers.
Two amazing lawyers with us here today. And we have an Invest America team to guide you through the process. But I am not a citizen of an E2 treaty country. So here today, we have Mariam again. We're gonna have a really quick video to start with, presenting a little bit more about range developments in Grenada. And once that video is through, we're gonna talk about these amazing opportunities that if you are from a non-E2 treaty country, the amazing opportunity you have to become a citizen of Grenada and move forward with your goals to invest in the United States. Please, Bryant. Everybody mute and video off, please.
What if we told you that in the Caribbean, there's only one citizenship by investment developer that's built 2 world-class 5-star resorts, and that they'd helped hundreds of investors receive citizenships for themselves and their families at the same time? What if we told you that both resorts were delivered within the promised time, that units in both projects sold out early to investors who were able to reap tremendous benefit from their participation, and that both resorts won several of the world's most prestigious hospitality awards? What if we told you that the Caribbean's largest and most trusted citizenship by investment developer was about to add to its track record of accomplishments by delivering yet another award-winning success, and that you could take part in it? Would you invest in your future? Would you invest in range developments? Good day, I'm Mohammed Asaria, Managing Director and Board Member of Range Developments, and I'm here to show you how we can help you open up a whole new world of opportunities, a world in which you'll not only take part in developing a world-class resort, but also make a priceless investment in your family's future. We are the only developer with a long and successful track record of building several ultra-luxury resorts in the Caribbean, financed in part by capital from citizenship investors. When we opened our first resort in 2017, the Park Hyatt St. Kitts, CNN named it as one of the best new hotels in the Caribbean, the first of what would become the many awards we've since received from publications like Condé Nast, Travel and Leisure, the New York Times, and Bloomberg. Our second project, the Cabritz Resort Kempinski Dominica, is already receiving extensive praise. Forbes magazine listed it as amongst the 10 most anticipated new Caribbean hotels for 2019. Condé Nast Traveler called it one of the year's hottest new hotel openings, and the Wall Street Journal urged its readers to add the Cabritz Resort Kempinski in Dominica to their 2020 travel itineraries. Now, we have embarked on our third project, the Six Senses La Sagesse in Grenada, under the auspices of Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program. Apart from being a developer of some of the world's most stunning luxury resorts, we're also a pillar of our communities and a cornerstone in the local economies of each of the islands in which we operate. We employ and train more than 1,000 locals, giving them invaluable work experience of an international standards that they otherwise would not have had access to without emigrating. We also support dozens of local charities, including providing scholarships for local students, as well as covering operational costs for local schools, hospitals, and kindergartens. Today, I'd like to extend an invitation to you to join us at Range Developments in transforming the Caribbean and transforming the lives of yourself and your family. Invest with Range Developments. Invest in your future.
I believe that video said it all. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Mariam. So please do go ahead and delight us about all the details for this amazing program, the Grenada CBI program, and a little bit more of all these opportunities presented in the video.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mila. So as we discussed on the video, Range is the largest and most successful developer in the Caribbean. We understand that our clients are solely looking for a citizenship in terms of their investment in the Caribbean. That's been the case over many years since these programs have been around. But when we got into the game, or 10 years ago, we decided that yes, the citizenship is the highlight, but our clients also need to have an asset that's worth something, that they can use, that they can drive ROI from, and they can make their money back by selling it 5 years later as the law allows them to. So as you see, we started around 10 years ago. We've got the Park Hyatt and the Kempinski, both amazing products. And if somebody is not looking for an E2, they serve the sole purpose of amazing global mobility, visa-free access to around 135 countries, and as well as their very efficient tax jurisdictions. However, Grenada combines those two as well with a E2, which gives the client, like, you know, it's an entire buffet of options that they can acquire. So as you can see, we have in total 1,600 investors on board with us. We're very grateful and thankful for them. We've created around 2,300 jobs in the Caribbean. In total, out of those 1,600 investors, we have granted 4,000 citizenships. These are just pictures we can flip through, and we've already discussed them in our video. Condé Nast and the new Park Hyatt, Kempinski, all the awards that we've won makes a difference to us as a developer, and obviously makes a huge difference to our clients in terms of the assets that they have invested in. Now we're discussing what the CBI is. So a CBI is short for Citizenship by Investment. It's a program that a country offers in terms of obtaining investments into their country by giving their citizenship in return. As mentioned, citizenship allows them flexibility, mobility, and security. And during these COVID times, it's quite important to mention that a lot of people have realized how important it is to have a second citizenship that gives them global mobility and global access. Because while visas are frozen, and whether someone has a multiple, let's say UK visit visa on their citizenship, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can travel to the United Kingdom and be with their family or monitor their businesses that they have there, whereas a visa-free access citizenship allows you to do that. So we've got it in all our 3 hotels. The citizenship investment amount, which is $220,000, is dictated and fixed by the government. So a lot of people ask us, well, you know, I don't want to invest in a hotel. Maybe I want to go and buy a piece of land. How much do I pay for that? That's not how it really works. So it's really important for our investors to know that the $220,000 is pegged by the government. That's the minimum amount required to make an investment in an approved real estate project. So if they decide to make further investments in the Caribbean, that's completely up to them. But if the nature of their investment is to obtain a citizenship, it has to go through a government approved project, which Range Developments is, and so has our other 2 projects been the same as well. The key factors, what makes the Grenadian citizenship, as they call it, the Ferrari of the citizenship world? First of all, there's no requirement by the law for you to visit or reside in that country. It was extremely important back then. It's also important now during COVID times, because a lot of our clients are entrepreneurs and business owners in their own country, and packing up, moving, living somewhere else for a few years just to obtain a second citizenship puts their businesses at risk, and they don't want to do that. You don't need to visit the island. You don't even need to live there. And you can obtain your citizenship within 3 to 4 months from when you apply through us, which obviously we assist with all the paperwork, the legal work, and so on and so forth. It takes around 2 to 3 months. COVID has slowed it down a little bit. Currently, we're looking at our approvals within 3 to 4 months. Visa exemptions from over 130 countries. The more significant countries in these are the United Kingdom, all of Europe, Hong Kong, Singapore, Russia, and China. A client can stay in the United Kingdom 6 months consecutively with a Grenadian citizenship without needing to exit. When they make one application, they can include their parents, their unmarried siblings, and their unmarried children under the age of 30. And therefore, often from all over the world, we have applications where one investment has been made, but the number of people that are going to obtain citizenship through that investment, it's 7, 8 people that are family members within that the dependency definition of Grenada. After 5 years, you can resell your investment. Now, this is quite important when it comes to developments such as ours. 5 years from the day you become an investor, you can resell your investment to someone who can also obtain a citizenship. The first investor retains their citizenship for themselves, their family members, and their future generations, exiting, making their money back, and allowing a second buyer to also apply for citizenship. Why is it important? These projects are limited in number of the investors that they can take. Again, those number of investors are dictated by the government of that country, given the size of the project. And obviously, as all the gentlemen on this panel have done such a wonderful job of explaining, the US E2 visa access is priceless on the Grenadian citizenship. And these are just some samples of how you can see the approvals that we've gotten: 78 days, 81 days, 92 days. So it's an extremely swift process. Visa-free access to the 140 countries that we mentioned, majority of South America, obviously the European Union, as well as UK being the highlight, as well as China. There's a limited number of countries in the world that have China visa-free access, and Grenada is one of them. When clients ask us, so how much would it cost me? An average family of 4 is husband, wife, and 2 children. And this calculation is based on their children's being minors, so meaning under the age of 16, as Grenada dictates. So the investment amount is $220,000. They have to pay due diligence fees, application fees, processing fees. Government fees for a family of 4 is $50,000. They pay $8,800 for their share registration. This is because they become an owner. So they are an equity partner in the hotel, one out of the 575 that's been assigned to this project. Passport fees and oath fees. This does not include legal fees. Legal fees depends on the size of the family and the ages of their children. However, it only ranges between $5,000 to around $15,000 at most. That's a little snapshot of the project. And those are the independent villas that we have. They are also part of the hotel, but they're independent properties by themselves. So as you can see, when you can apply as a family within 2 to 3 months or 3 to 4 months from when your file is submitted, you are able to obtain your second citizenship within 90 to 120 days from the day that we get started. Combining that with the time frame that the gentlemen have discussed within the E2, best case scenario, under 8 months, a client and their family can set up in the United States under a Grenadian citizenship. And we discussed this, our CSR, in our video as well. It's something we're very proud of. We take huge social responsibility in the islands that we develop in, and we become a part of that community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. That was a very impressive presentation. Thank you so much. I have a quick question here. So how soon after I obtain my Grenadian citizenship, I can go ahead and apply for the E2 visa right away?
There's no limitation on that. Okay. A lot of our clients, Mila, once they get started on their application for Grenada and we submit that application, that's when they get in touch with Mike and Co. and discuss their E2 options.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like a simultaneous process. Okay, that's
Sure.
very interesting. And what about the investment? It has to be made like all as a whole, or is like financing, or how is that part of the investment works?
Sure. The way the investment works is that they have to pay 10% of the investment amount upfront, which is $22,000. That $22,000, in case that client gets rejected for any reason, is refunded back to them, and that's part of our contract. However, the application fees, the due diligence fees, and the legal fees that they pay upfront is not refunded to them, and that's a risk that they take. Now, having said that, Mila, a client is only rejected based on their own background. A client is not rejected based on their nationality, religion, sex, and so on and so forth. It's simply due to their background. We pre-screen all our clients free of charge before we get started. Because we refund the $22,000, us and the client sit on the same side.
Very, very, very cool. Okay, so I think that's a very interesting. I think one last question that I believe most of the investors will have is, sorry, I had it right here. Give me a second. So what happened? Like, so if I sell my citizenship, right, after that 5 years, I sold it to the next investor, right? I will keep that citizenship for me, my family, and my future generations. What do you mean with that?
Sure.
Is they just go on, even though I don't live on the island, right?
Yes, there's no requirement to visit or reside on the island. There's no language test either. The 5-year exit strategy, it's quite significant for our clients because obviously they're looking to make their money back. Apart from the ROI that they make within the next 5 years, it's minimal. It's nothing huge, to be very transparent with our clientele. As mentioned earlier, people don't usually invest in the Caribbean to make money. They invest in the Caribbean to obtain citizenship. However, 5 years from the day that they've become an investor, the law says they're able to exit. So hypothetically, if I become an investor today and as the main applicant, in order to exit 5 years later, I can sell it to Mila. Once I've sold it to Mila, and you can sell it through us, through any immigration, law firm, citizenship consultant in the world, you own it. It's completely up to you. I retain my citizenship. My future generations will get citizenship. They will inherit it through me because I was an economic investor to begin with. You and your family will also then be able to apply for citizenship. That's how I make my $220,000 back. And then you are also able to get a second citizenship. And please note that the number of projects on these islands are, one, bare minimum. There's not that many of them. Second, they are highly regulated by the government to make sure, things are done properly. And Range is the only developer that's delivered before. And you saw the quality of what we've delivered. The video of Park Hyatt and Kempinski is actually what we've done on ground. So in order for that client to be able to sell 5 years from now, it's a lot more attractive for the second buyer than it is actually for the first buyer, giving the first buyer a very smooth exit.
That's very, very interesting.
Mila, I would like to add that even though you don't have to visit the island for get the citizen, I think you should. Those pictures are magnificent, beautiful.
No, I want to invest in Grenada.
Our investors get free stay in the hotel annually as well, apart from their ROI. While Grenada is under construction, they get free stay in the Kempinski or the Park Hyatt. And given the fact that 99% of our investors are looking for the E2, America being so close to the Caribbean, it's a wonderful holiday destination.
And beautiful. Thank you so much. And last question, I think here is very easy to answer. I do not have to surrender my my citizenship, right?
No, you don't. All the Caribbean allow dual citizenship. So the initial citizenship that person has, they don't have to give up. And now that you've mentioned dual citizenship, we have a couple of clients of ours who obtained Dominica citizenship. Once Grenada came onto the market, now they're also Grenadian investors.
That's very interesting. Okay, so I think that amazing presentation and our future Christmas destination closes the webinar for today. I think we're over our time right here. I'm sorry about that, but I think it was worth it. I think we all learned a lot about the E2, about the Invest America scope of services that has an E2 consulting services. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Eli. Thank you so much, Mariam. And thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you all being here with us today. And I'll let each one of you guys to say your farewells. And we hope to see everybody here with us again soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you joining us today, with us today, and thank you to all our panelists as well. It was great speaking with you. We are going to be doing some additional webinars in the future, so feel free to check out our LinkedIn page, our Facebook page, Invest America, and also please visit the other panelists' websites and social media areas as well. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak with you all, and thank you for joining us today.
I will say, everybody, before I let everybody go, that I'll be sharing this presentation alongside with the contact information from all our amazing panelists. So please do feel free to contact them for any questions. Roberto, please, sorry.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. If you have any questions and concerns in reference to the E2, we'll be glad to help you. You'll receive our information through Mila. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mila. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Marianne. Eli Penel, tax attorney for Wermo Panel Ortiz. I'll see you guys soon in Grenada. Take care.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you to my panelists. It's been a wonderful conversation, and we look forward to inviting you all to Grenada.
Thank you. Invitation accepted. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your
Bye-bye.
day or days or evenings.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.